what happened with you and Don Mattingly? That's
okay. So
just understand this as you tell this story. And I know I'm telling this to a man who just told that story about being nicknamed the Machine because that's the way that you got in tight with the Russian mafia.
Yeah.
And are planning on your next tour to finish in Moscow and tell that story in Moscow.
Yeah.
I fully understand I'm telling that guy that Don Mattingly is my favorite baseball player of all time.
Okay, Don Mattingly is from Tampa. Okay?
He's from Indiana.
No, but him and Fred McGriff would take batting practice.
Well, the Yankees spring training complex was in Tampa, Florida.
That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
I'm not Wikipedia. So him and Fred McGriff would take BP at our high school. Okay?
Okay.
So they show up. Don Mattingly had just a badass Mercedes, and him and Fred McGriff show up.
So this is in the 80s. We're talking in the 80s.
No,
here,
this is
right?
the 90s. The 90s. Not, well, probably, yeah, you're probably 89.
Okay.
89.
Sure.
So me and Scott Bobeer get in trouble, and we got to run player appreciations. Fred McGriff and Don Mattingly are taking batting practice on our field. A player appreciation was when you had to run from home plate to each of the sponsors' signs in the fence. Mm-hmm. So they're taking batting practice, and we're like, what are the odds that we're going to get hit by a ball? So we're doing left field, and I'm talking to Scott, and we're jogging, and Scott's telling me some inane story, and all of a sudden, a baseball hits him in the back of the head, and he goes flat on the ground unconscious. And I look up, and Don Mattingly and Fred McGriff are dying laughing. And I'm like, and they're like, sorry. And I was like, oh my God. So I'm like, Bobby, are you okay? And he like pops up, and he's like, what happened? I go, fly ball hit you in the back of the head. And he was like, oh. And they're like, bring the ball back, we'll sign it. So we're like, okay. So we keep running, and we're in right field, and Scott's telling another story, and just sink ball again. And I hear them go, $50. And we're like, ah. And then Fred McGriff's like, bring it back, we'll sign both of them. You can both have a ball. So after that, they were just aiming at us.
After that story is fantastic.
Oh, yeah, Don Mattingly and Fred McGriff. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying.
So
That's
next time
amazing.
Mattingly's on the show, because we've
him.
never had the crime dog, they have to remember the time when two high school kids in Tampa, Florida,
Yep.
were their own like personal target practice.
I can tell you where they parked their car. That's how true this story is. Right in front of the Casper Center in the dirt. Because I remember Don Mattingly getting out and looking at his rims going, oh, it's covered in dirt now.
It's like when you're at the driving range and you're trying to hit the guy in the cart.
In the cart.
Trying to hit the cart guy.
And I remember telling our coach that, and coach goes, you know what you should learn? How good he can go opposite field. And I was like, really? Because they were trying to teach us that at the time. Is like play opposite field for like a hit and
Oh,
run.
you got to see the ball and hit it where you see it. Yeah.
Look how good he can go opposite field. I was like, well, yeah. Tell that to Bo Beer, who's got CTE now.
It is a life lesson, man. It is a life lesson.
Yeah.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.